Hi, welcome back. Here we are at Unit 2, Session 2, for our 2018 study of the Gospel Project for Students. So thanks for being with us. And so the title for Session 2 and Unit 2 is God Foreshadows His Promise. And so we saw the calling of Abraham last time. And so we're familiar with the story as your students have kind of been reading through the devotions there throughout the week. Hopefully they have. And guys, just really try to create a culture in which it's important for them to sort of be engaging with these devotions, tearing them out, the perforated sections of the daily discipleship guide, giving it to them, holding them accountable, really encouraging them as they go along reading this, because this is really going to be a useful tool in their personal discipleship. And so as they have been reading sort of a little bit more into the life of Abraham, right? So obviously they from a human perspective, Abraham and his wife didn't seem like the prime candidates for God to choose to make this promise, right? So God is promising the fact that, look, there's going to be like a whole people group, a whole nation. Your descendants are going to be as numerous as the stars in the sky, the sands on the beach. I mean, they're just going to be all over the place. And then from you though, I'm going to bless you, and then from your line, you're going to sort of be like this corridor in which I'm going to bless all the families of the earth. Right, so we kind of have this picture that the seed of the woman, this promise one, was going to come through the line of Abraham. But the problem is the fact that Sarah doesn't seem to be having any children, and so that's obviously a problem. I mean, how can you sort of have a descendant who's going to be the savior if you can't have any children? So there's a bit of a problem there, and but nevertheless, they're getting older and older and older. God is just refining their faith, and we see that take place. And so it happens. They have this promised child in Isaac. Abraham loves Isaac, and God specifically tells him that it's through Isaac that your descendant shall be named. So not through Ishmael, even though you have another son through another wife, your descendants aren't going to be named through him. That's not where the family line is going. Through Isaac, your descendants shall be named. So the promise is going to be carried on through Isaac. This covenant that God established is going to be continually passed on through him. And so we get to Genesis 22, and that's where we're going to be today. And so this chapter is it's a heavy chapter. There's a lot going on, and so. And so I would just kind of walk through it maybe a little bit slower. Don't rush sort of through the narrative itself, because there's a lot going on. You want your students, just like the author who wrote this, wants us to sort of feel the weight of it. Because just chapters before, just the previous chapter before, God is telling Abraham that it's through Isaac, whom you love. He recognizes the fact that Abraham loves him. And it's through him that your descendants are going to be named. He's the promised one. He's the fulfillment of this promise that I gave to you and Sarah a long time ago. The start of that promise anyway. And so you can imagine how grateful that Abraham and Sarah were. And then Abraham gets these instructions to go and sacrifice Isaac and offer him up as a sacrifice. And so, there's a lot that you can sort of talk about, and we have a great lesson on this particular this section, this narrative, and so that's you definitely don't want to pass up the Christ connection that's going on here. This is a key text in the Old Testament in which foreshadowing is taking place. So we want our students to realize, okay, so look. God stopped Abraham. He didn't have to sacrifice his son, but God didn't stop himself and giving up his son to be our sacrifice. And so just kind of, the interesting parallels that's going on there. It is a fascinating text. And so just walk students through it. There's some great application there in the head, heart, hand section. And then I guarantee you're going to have some interesting discussion that follows. So we'll see you here next time for Unit 2, Session 3. Thanks for being with us.